Hey, this is me building and strategizing a $2 million per year business in public. Last month, I made $139,000, and next month, I would like to hit $167,000. See how that goes. But this is basically a breakdown of how I'm doing it. I start with some Q&A. That's where I answer questions. You can post any question you want on any one of my daily updates videos, and I will eventually answer it. Then growth stats, where I cover growth of the last 24 hours, and I finally ran it out with some live strategy. That's stuff that I am doing. So that's pretty fun. This is my main channel over here. This is the daily updates channel, one with the little Studio Ghibli anime pick. I figured you guys would like that just because Studio Ghibli was obviously blowing up a few days ago with OpenAI's new image generator. But okay, let's start with some QA. Let's answer some questions, add some value. First one's from the lovely Mahmoud Tumar, I believe. He says, "Hey, Nick. I joined Maker School in January for just a month, and I landed 2 clients for my B2B cold outreach agency. Hell yeah, Maker School is my 0 to 1 program, teaches you how to build and scale an automation agency. One is a digital marketing agency that serves B2B clients. They hired me to run cold outreach for them and for their clients at what looks like $2,000 a month. Nice. They're now bringing in $6K a month total. So basically you're doing like 3, right? Okay. The issue is I'm overwhelmed in building campaigns, personalizing messages, and sourcing leads all day. I haven't had time to prospect or scale. And I know that's what's holding me back is the time I spend for those clients that tend to ask for a lot of revisions and edits. Yeah, totally. I'm not in this for 6K a month. Look at this baller. I'm not in this for 6K a month. I'm aiming for 50, 100K months. What would you do in my position?" And yeah, no problem regarding the consistency. I really appreciate you too for commenting this and obviously joining Maker School. So great question. I was in your exact shoes up until pretty recently, actually. Like even while I was running this YouTube channel, I still had a couple of clients that I had started on retainers, over a year and a half ago that were paying me like $3,000 a month, $3,500 a month. And like the work that I was doing them, it's not like I wasn't happy that they were paying me money, obviously, but the work that I was doing them was doing for them was just very custom and very technical and very complex. So a lot of the time I'd make something and then they'd ask for revisions. I have to go back and forth and they'd be like, "Hey, is this done yet?" And it was just a massive pain in my ass, to be honest. So I want you to know that I've sort of made this strategic error quite a bit, just because I always like to just try and take as much shit on as humanly possible before I eventually say no. Now, your issue isn't that you're taking too much on. Your issue is that you're just taking the wrong sort of thing on, Mahmood. Essentially, what you're doing is you are doing unscoped, I imagine, general purpose retainers or monthly arrangements where you don't have a clear definition of the deliverables and the value that you provide. And so the customers are just kind of, I'm not going to say they're using you because they are paying you some good money, it sounds like, especially just given your growth trajectory. That's all fine and stuff. But, it's going to interfere with your ability to scale. Okay. So what's my recommendation? I would go, let's just go up here. I would basically, this is like project standardize. Okay. Project Mahmood. This is project standardize. We're going to standardize the hell out of these retainer packages. So what do you got here? You said cold, let me just move this tab over here. You said cold outreach agency. Okay. So your cold outreach agency, it's not an automation agency, it's a cold outreach agency. These are a little bit different, right? Obviously, one of the things you can do in automation is build a cold outreach system, but Mahmood is actually just doing cold outreach agency. Like his whole agency is all about cold outreach. Cool. So they hired me to run cold outreach for them for the constant came out. Okay, so you're building campaigns, personalizing messages, and sourcing leads all day. Okay, so first of all, realistically, it shouldn't really be taking you all day to source leads, personalize messages, and build campaigns. Personalization and stuff like that, you should be able to like build an automated system to do most of that for you, or a semi-automated system where you just like drag and drop a big list of leads into a folder. The sourcing leads can be a little bit harder depending on how deep you want to go with this stuff. But like if you just go superficial and you have something that works, and hell, even if like the reply rates are between 2 to 4.5% or so, you could still make like a pretty successful campaign for these clients. So I wouldn't really worry about going super crazy deep. We're talking standardization here. And then what is the building the campaigns? Are you just saying like writing instantly campaigns and stuff? Yeah, I mean that's a little bit more intensive, but you basically need to standardize. So what do we have to do first? I'm just going to start at the beginning and then we'll worry about the rest of the stuff. We're going to standardize like lead acquisition. Okay. So, well, I guess what I should say is like scraping. Let's just say scraping. So how do you standardize this? You standardize this by basically, okay, I can't pick another color there because I forgot the hotkey, rip. You standardize this by like picking, I want to say 1, maybe 2 lead sources, okay? Don't have more lead sources than this for your cold outreach agency. Just have a couple of defined ones. If you're like, well, actually, in practice, there's 500 different sources I can go for leads, that tells me that you're working with a ton of niches, in which case you should just niche down into one or a small group of niches where you can get all of the leads from 1 to 2 lead sources. Okay? So we're going to standardize our lead acquisition script. We're going to pick 1 to 2 lead sources. We're going to build automated systems for acquisition or for scraping. What do I mean by this? I mean like an Apify-based system that pulls an, I don't know, Apollo search URL. Okay? Same system I actually just recorded the other day. Where you just have this Apify system, and this Apify system actually just runs automatically like once every few days or something. And then now your task is no longer, I need to build out this super complicated lead scraping thing. It's literally like, I just need to find an Apollo search URL that I can stick in this, this Google Sheet or however you want to like use your input. And then that's your job now. Okay. I would standardize number of leads. If you're a lead gen agency, this is pretty standard. So standardize number of leads. So right now you're probably just doing as many leads as they can or something. But instead of that, just do 3 packages to start. One with, maybe 5,000 leads a month. One with like 10,000 leads a month. Another one with like 20,000 leads a month. Okay. And basically what you do is you just tier up the daily outreach volume, meaning you tier up the number of mailboxes that the client needs in order to send all that outreach. So, standard them into packages. So maybe you have like 5K a month, 10K a month, 20K a month, and then you just charge, differentially here. Don't charge twice as much for 10K as you do for 5K, and don't charge 4 times as much for 20K as you do for 5K. Obviously, you want there to be like an incentive naturally in you paying for the larger one, and you don't want it to just be a multiple. So offer some sort of discount here, like 25% discount between 5 to 10, and then like another 25% between 10 to 20. Realistically, that's probably fine. I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass here, but I want you to know that like at the end of the day, a lot of the pricing that you see is just people pulling numbers out of their ass, seeing how they work, and then shuffling them around. Okay, cool. So now we've standardized the number of leads, and then standardize. And I'm imagining you're doing this, but standardize like the validation or verification services that you're using, and build systems. So a lot of the time, like when I say systems, I don't actually mean automations. I just mean like have an SOP in place where it's like, okay, so we picked our 1 to 2 lead sources. And when we get a new client, or at the beginning of the month, or however you want to do it, there's 1,001 ways to do so. We get an Apollo search URL. That Apollo search URL goes into a thing where the leads are automatically scraped and dumped to this Google Sheet, right? We know that we only need to do 5,000 leads a month because it's, somebody in our 5,000 package. And then all we need to do is we need to take this Google Sheet and dump it into, Million Verifier or whatever, like whatever platform you're using to do your verification. You can do it inside of Instantly, you can do whatever. So that's standardize your scraping, okay? What was another thing that you said? You said personalizing messages. What is that are you just referring to like the enrichment? So the enrichment is just like an automation, right? So my recommendation for you is now we're at the point where the output of the verification service is probably just another Excel or CSV or Google Sheet or whatever, big comma separated value file. Just take that and then dump it into a Google Drive and make that Google Drive watch for new CSVs added, make that into a Google Sheet, and then just go row by row and then just run an enrichment automation with AI. Okay? Using your favorite no-code platform. So that's like a simple flow, build the flow in Make or N8N or whatever you want to do. I'm sure you'll have some additional costs, but your issue here is you're probably just doing it all yourself. And at $6,000 a month, you're now getting to the point where you could actually spend like $500 to $1,000 a month of that on something that would make the rest of your life super easy. So that's another thing. Okay. And then sourcing, we already talked sourcing, building campaigns. So like I imagine when you say building campaigns, you probably mean like writing campaigns or iterating. My Excalibur is getting laggy clearly, so I'm going to have to switch this. Probably do that after today. You have to write and iterate the campaign. So the copywriting, I mean, it's still very much like an art, I would say. Hopefully you know about my own copywriting format. Just Google like Nick Saraev copywriting if you want more tips or tricks on that. I have like a simple 4 or 5 step sequence that I run people through on how to like write a really good campaign. But I'm assuming you've done that. And you're just talking about like building and rebuilding and trying new angles and stuff. So my recommendation is for clients, just standardize your testing. And do either once or twice per week, depending on the volume. If you're sending 5K emails a month, right? 5K outbound emails a month, I'm always talking to new people. I'm not talking just like 5K emails with your sequences and stuff. So 5,000 new people a month, okay? Let's just think about it. 5,000 new people divided by 26 sending days. That's usually how many days a month I send. Is about 200 emails a day, right? 200 emails a day. After 1 week, which is, I don't know, like 5.5 sending days, you'll have 1,100 emails. So you'll have 1,100 examples of like replies, 1,100 opens. I mean, well, probably not 1,100 opens, but 1,100 emails that hopefully have made it into the person's mailbox. That's enough data for you to actually like start doing some testing. But what you do is you just say Mondays are testing days. And then what you do is, if you're doing it once a week, Mondays are testing days, let's say, for the $5,000 a month thing, 5,000 leads a month thing. And then you say, on Monday morning, you just log into a Google Sheet and then you see the reply rate of the campaign that's previous. And then you just add a change that you're going to make. And then you do a split test and then you see what the reply rate is the next week. And in that way, you basically just have a log of improvements that you make. And just by standardizing it and just doing all the testing and stuff on Mondays, you eliminate a big chunk of that. If you're doing the 20,000 leads a month campaign, obviously you can iterate a lot faster. So maybe you can do it like Mondays and Thursdays. I'll leave it up to you to decide. Okay, so those are the 3 project standardized things. Those are the things that I would recommend to anybody that are in shoes like yours, where you're making a little bit of money, but you're starting to run into the upper limit. Actually break down your work and like try and just itemize what is going into your stuff. You can go pretty far with just like a brief little 10-minute review like I did a moment ago. But after you're done with this, we got to talk like a little bit of a deeper issue, which is obviously just like client expectations to begin with, right? Now, when I was at the start line of my business and I got my first few retainer clients, I obviously had significantly fewer boundaries and, standards, I would say, for myself. And so, it was more likely that they would take advantage of me. This is just a very logical and normal progression for most intro business owners. When you're getting started in a new field, you lack the confidence, maybe you haven't really closed really big deals before. You're going to put a lot more value on that money. You're going to be willing to do a lot more than maybe you should necessarily be doing for that money. I guess your bar for bullshit is just going to be a lot higher. So, this is one of those soft skills that you tend to figure out the longer that you're in business, but you need to set some boundaries around like acceptable revisions and like what's sort of silly and so on and so forth. I usually don't like sit the client down and have like a nuclear option moment where I'm just like, hey, I can't continue doing these revisions. It's way too much time and energy, because in my experience, everybody that's done that just like has lost the client, right? What I do though is I just do like soft sort of strategies where I'll like slowly decrease my response rate. For instance, if a client is just like hassling me nonstop for revisions. So instead of me responding like, after a couple of hours, I respond like maybe after a day, and then it turns to like maybe a couple of days, and then it just slowly kind of lengthens. And that's just for my own sanity. But it's also because a lot of the small little revision requests that people will make, they will make the revision request and then it like doesn't actually matter at all. So a lot of the time, like if you make yourself too available for the client just like starts to dump everything on you, like their whole life. And you actually want the client to have a little bit of autonomy there, right? Like a little bit of like, hey, no, you don't need to like run everything by me. We don't need to talk about everything. Likewise, I also like me having a lot of autonomy as well, right? Like I prefer working in situations with businesses that trust me and that they like my judgment. And then my whole situation is like, hey, I'm going to do the work. If I see something that I don't fully understand, I'm going to try and solve it my way. And then I'm going to show it to you. And then if you don't like it, then you can fix it. But I'm not going to like ask you or hassle you at every step in the process to like try and say, hey, what would you do here? Hey, what would you do here? No, I basically assume what you would do. And then I see if, I can take that and use that to finish the project, finish the writing, finish the copy, whatever. And then assuming that that's good, yeah, like we don't actually have to chat about it every 5 seconds. So, yeah, that's one thing you could do. Another more pointed strategy, and I realize I'm literally using this entire session to answer your question. But that's okay. I think that's a really good question. Another thing that you could do, Mahmood, is standardize your client responses. So your client management, I should say. What I mean by that is like how earlier I was saying set Mondays as like your split testing day. Well, set like Tuesdays and Fridays is like your client follow-ups day. So basically, like clients will send you messages throughout the week and they'll ask you things and blah, blah, blah. What you do is just on Tuesdays and Thursdays or Thursdays and Fridays or whatever days you pick, you actually like go through all of your mailboxes or all of your Slack comms or all of your WhatsApp groups or whatever. Ideally, you just have one. You wouldn't spread it out over 50 things because that's just a pain in the ass to keep track of. And then you just like get back to everybody on everything then. Because otherwise, it's kind of like always having your email inbox open. Again, if you just always make yourself available, you're always checking it every 5 seconds, then your ability to actually sit down and focus on the work is definitely substantially reduced. So you obviously have the gumption, my man, to get out there and make $6,000 a month, which is fantastic. And you did so pretty quick. With just a month of Maker School tutelage, I bet you if you were still in Maker School, you probably would have already solved this problem. But yeah, that's, you've demonstrated that you know how to get started. Now it's just a question of like, how do I actually scale it up? And yeah, not to just pitch the hell out of Maker School again, but all of the standardization stuff that I was just talking about, all this productization and whatnot, we talk about that in Maker School month 2, month 3, as, you scale your agency. And basically, Mahmood, like it's the exact same structure that I was talking about. We just do it a little bit more robustly through that day-to-day program. Cool. Thank you very much. Let's just really quickly see what are the easiest questions I can answer to get some quick wins in here before I move on to my daily updates. My solo leveling Arise was pretty spot on. Tell me about it. Pretty badass. I love it. We got a video professional saying my lightsaber works great. My lightsaber, for those of you that don't know, it's this giant light pole. I've now joined the light side of the Force, and so it is bright white. But yeah, I got this light pole because it's just really easy and convenient when I go record in new places like I'm doing right now. And yeah, this cryptid cow just was telling me I need to add a fill light for the shadowed side. So that's this side, I guess. No, do I have a shadowed side right now? Not really, because I put the light pole in front of me. Anyway, and then add one more practical light in the background on the lightsaber side of the shot. That's pretty neat. I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I'm actually moving in just a couple of days, so it's going to be another dig to set up the new studio, but I will take your suggestions into account. Thank you. Much appreciated. Let me just answer some real quick ones. What's the easiest stuff that I can answer? Car Showcasing CSC says, thanks for reading my comment, giving a great answer. I think we're in a game right now. I went through an insane amount of knowledge and research in the last 2 weeks, realized we need to wake up to move on to the next level. Cheers. Rock on. Yeah, you recommended, or you asked me to talk about this guy, Nick Bostrom, right? Alexander says, is including monetary stats from your social proof ever a concern for triggering the spam keywords for email deliverability? Seems like some filters might see them in the same light as a Nigerian prince type email. I mean, like, probably a little bit, but like, people talk money all the time, right? Like, email's like a business thing to begin with. So like, people are going to talk money. I wouldn't really sweat that. Build your guts like perseverance. Nava IQAI says, I want to join the school so bad, but don't got money. I'm working in a restaurant right now. It just stated I can pay it off later, but can I give you $50 to join the school? No, sir, you cannot. I have consistently increased the price to represent the value within the program. I really appreciate that you want to join and stuff like that. But I mean, the difference between $50 and $89 as it is right now is probably a few hours of work at that restaurant. I think if you really wanted it and you put that work into that restaurant and then you took that money, then you gave it to me, probably be a lot more likely to actually go and do the thing, right? If you had to stretch a little bit, usually a lot more likely to. So this isn't me just wanting an additional $39 because who knows, maybe because I'm saying this, you're just not going to join at all. But it's because I do believe in the price that I've set. And, I think it's important to commit to things. Awesome. Cool. Well, I think that was a little bit of oh yeah, there's that skip to the first few minutes if it kills you. I think that was a little bit of value. We're definitely stacking up on the questions. So the channel continues to grow, which I'm really happy about. And my anticipation is just going to keep on going. Maybe not necessarily parabolic, but things are obviously on the up and up. I should note that the monetization kicked in. So nobody said anything about them just seeing such a crazy number of ads that they want to tear their hair out. So that's good. I think I've always had pre-roll and post ads, but I don't know if I've had the mid-roll ones. But if that's happening, just give me a shout. I think I'm making like $10. I think I made like $10 the other day. So it's like, hell yeah, that's a coffee and a half. Depends on where you are. In Calgary, that's like 3 coffees. In New York, that's probably half of a coffee. Anywho, let's do some brand stats. Why don't we do some brand stats? Let's go brand stats and then scroll all the way down to the bottom. It is currently March 28th, 2025. Let's see how much my main channel has grown. Very little. 62,908. RIP. 265. Ugh. Really missing those 600 days, huh? Ah, well. Instagram 61,437. So we are we're like 2 days away from these two passing. It's going to be a momentous day because everybody here knows I've been talking about that since day one. When my Instagram channel beats my daily updates channel. Or sorry, my main channel. Daily updates went up by 49, looks like. Cool. So yeah, that's that. A couple things I wanted to talk about today, just in terms of the strategy of my business. So we created a bunch of high quality videos, right? I have the editor on board now. The editor's doing great. Editor's spending a lot of time editing right now, probably more time than they realistically should be, but it's because they're at that start line and currently building out a bunch of templated assets for me. So I love this guy to death. I think he went to sleep at like 3 a.m. the other night or something, just because he was like working his ass off, which is great. But yeah, like let me actually show you. We got 2 videos that are queued up right now. And as you can see, we're going to be experimenting with some new thumbnail formats. One here is called The Best Online Business for Beginners to start in 2025. The idea is, and apparently I can't actually access this, so I might have to just, yeah, okay, I have it on Google Drive, so it's cool. The idea is that this is going to be like a mad top of funnel piece of content, which is just going to run people through what AI automation is, just because it's good to have like a very high level top funnel piece of content. And notice how crazy edited it is. I don't mean like crazy edited as in like annoyingly edited. I think this is done pretty tastefully while also still adhering to like good editing guidelines. So let me just make sure that you guys could actually still see this. So that's actually the wrong page, right? This one here. Cool. Isn't that cool? Oh, look at that. Oh, man, is that shit tight. Damn, that's clean as hell. Yeah, that's pretty nice, huh? Here we got a little logo popping up. Got all my social proof. Look at this roadmap. Check this out. How sweet is that? Oh, man, that's got me my favorite, where it kind of like, it goes off to the side a bit. So yeah, the idea is super top of funnel. I'm not going to be teaching anybody that watches me any new stuff here, but this is content strategically that you just need if you are a big creator. You need like a super top of funnel thing to be like, hey, what is this opportunity? And then once people come in, at the very top of your funnel, kind of trickle down. They trickle down my hairline, basically, and then they go to like the more narrow stuff. I feel like I'm drawing a... Let's not talk about it. Then they go down to the more narrow stuff, and then they kind of wrap up here with like some sort of conversion event. So this would be top. This would be middle, which is like, what are these tools and how do I use them? And then this down here would be like bottom. This bottom of funnel would be like, some sort of conversion event. That's what I'm going for. So we'll see how all this stuff goes. But I'm pretty stoked by it. And then check out this call to action, man. Look at this. Wait. Look at this. Wait for it. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? Damn, that's nice, man. Is it the edits that are thrown in? They're so tasteful. You guys can't hear this, but there's like this like soft music in the background. And then there's like this little, anyway, I'm going to stop talking about it, but I'm obviously pretty stoked. So that's going to be really fun. We got another one here. Stop selling AI wrong, what business owners actually want. So I don't know why it's unavailable. I think it's because I'm on a different channel or something. Yeah. Okay, so same vibe. Now I'm not actually a big fan of like the super crazy zoom ins and stuff, and I think I don't know, I just don't really like the way that I look in this one. So I'm a little harsher on this video, but the editor has helped me out, and we're removing some of these zooms because I don't really like all the zooms and stuff. But like, oh, look at that, Gmail, Upwork, school. Isn't that exciting? Damn, I'm stoked, man. Okay. Enough gushing. I'm really excited about the editing stuff, obviously. I think that this is going to substantially help my workflow. And it has. I've like been able to, spend a lot more time on other things, which is nice. So strategically speaking, what I'm doing is I'm just going to start recording a very large volume of content very soon. Well, basically right now. Every day I'm recording like 2 videos. And now instead of before, when I'd record the video, I would just publish it immediately, right? which was nice because I could publish things like ASAP. There was no editing, no turnaround time. Now there's a turnaround time, but basically right now I'm adding it to a queue, and my editor gets it. Well, I get an idea from somebody, my strategist, who then gives it to me, and then I like look at the idea, and then I touch it up if I need to, and then I record. Then once I record, I upload it to the editor. The editor takes it and they publish it on my YouTube. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's pretty fun. I have been strategically, again, trying to make the general chat in my Slack a funner place. So before last week, it was just dead and there was like nobody talking at all in any one of these videos, but in any one of these channels. But I just told everybody that comes on board my team, hey, every day when you finish your deliverable, just post it in the general channel and I'll like hype you up and stuff. So editor's doing that, strategist is doing that, Instagram guy's doing that, basically everybody's doing that. And then I think it's just a funner place. So I'm just going to try and make that a practice. I also think the accountability helps. And I think that this helps you produce a team that isn't necessarily reliant on you all the time, because I tend to, like I know a lot of stuff. And so people tend to come to me a lot to help answer questions or solve their problems. But when I just have everybody kind of in a chat and they all know each other, they can ask each other for help. And that's already happened a couple times. So that's pretty sweet strategically. What else is happening? Yeah, I'm gonna look a little bit more into editing because I want to improve the workflow of my team. And I think that there are probably more efficient ways to get it done. So like, we don't actually have to wait like a full day to get it. We could actually get it that day if need be. I don't exactly know what that would look like, to be honest, but I'll think on it a little bit more. And then, oh yeah, and then I finished a couple emails from my newsletter yesterday, which is nice. I've been dragging my feet on that for quite a while. So if you guys look at my to-do list now, it's completely different. Before, my to-do list was huge, gigantic. There was a million things on it. Now, I'm just going to add 2024 and 2025 to my biography, my website biography. It's pretty cool and all, but it kind of caps out down at 2023, mid-2023. With left click. But now obviously I've had some explosive growth with this new brand, Saraev Media, I'm going to call it. And I'm just going to write a continuation of this just to make sure it's up to date. Because I've gotten a lot of very positive serendipity from my biography. A lot of people have reached out to me and said, hey, Nick, I read your biography. I really like your stuff. You remind me a lot of myself. Here's a bunch of stuff about us. And, do you want to connect? And then I end up having really good conversations with them. So that's cool. And then serendipity networking campaign. This is kind of interesting. So one big thing that I'm really passionate about is AI safety. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, AI safety is essentially the idea that the more powerful these technologies become, obviously the more risks there are associated with them, right? So there's risks associated with, first of all, human misuse of artificial intelligence for some nefarious end. I don't know, like hacking banks or something, or creating nerve gas, or, some crazy unhinged dude wants to make a protein that kills everybody, right? So there's obviously there's some human risks there. So I've been passionate about that for a while. I haven't really ever had the resources or the means to make any impact there, just because who cares about the safety of something if you yourself are broke? Who cares about these big civilizational questions of you're just totally off the wall, you have no money, you can hardly pay your bills, and you just eat ramen all day, basically what my situation was up until a couple of years ago. But now that I'm a man of some means and, I have some followers and stuff, I've started thinking about it a little bit more heavily. And I'm like, if I want to do something that's important or cool, I wonder if this is something that I could do. So the idea is, how do you reduce nefarious use of artificial intelligence in a way that's not restrictive to the technology, that doesn't ruin people's experiences with the technology? Think about some of these models and how censored they are. It's ridiculous. It's the censorship is another form of human misuse. You top-down control what type of person the image can generate. Let's be real here, man. This shit's the wild, wild west. People are going to do whatever the hell they want with it. But, regardless, what I'm really interested in is how can you let human beings use these models really effectively? And then how can you put up some sort of mechanism by which the model is capable of kind of how a mother loves a son or a daughter, you know what I mean? Unconditionally. These models are getting super smart and they're getting extraordinarily intelligent and advanced. But there's no real intrinsic mechanism by which we can build in that sort of empathy. I mean, the smarter that these models get, and the more agentic tool use we give them, the more autonomy we give them, eventually they're going to be going and doing shit in the economy, right? But if we want them to consistently make good decisions for people or for humanity, we need to basically instill some sort of value in the artificial intelligence. So I'm really interested in that. Like, I went to school for behavioral neuroscience, and one of the reasons why was specifically because I thought that, in the future, we might try and, like, emulate the way that brains work in machines. I did this, I was a kid and, I had no real, like, idea of exactly how I do it, so I just went to school and I was like, "Oh, I'll get a degree and I'll figure it out later. I'll become a doctor," and then kind of the pieces will fall, dominoes will fall where they may. But yeah, now that I'm like of sufficient means, I can actually like think about, how would somebody actually go about solving this problem? And one way that I've been making some progress on it over the last week is I've just been getting in touch with a lot of people in the AI safety. I want to say like ecosystem. So I've been just getting in touch with people that are working at various labs, currently like dealing with this issue. People that are in research. I was talking to a guy in Berkeley the other day, which is pretty sweet. Um, and it's really cool. And one thing I realized is like, wait a second, I can actually combine my skills of cold outreach to like get in touch with a lot of these people pretty quickly to just like explore this really cool thing that I've always wanted to learn a little bit more about and, maybe potentially be helpful for. So I'm just going to create a big cold email campaign basically. And trust me when I say this, nobody's doing this. Nobody's employing like simple business systems for, in a niche like AI safety. It's crazy. So I'm just going to put together a cold email campaign. I'm literally just going to like email the top researchers at all the top laboratories on planet Earth. And I'm basically going to say like, "Yo, what's up? My name's Nick. I have like 100,000, 120,000 followers on YouTube and Instagram. In terms of like my combined sphere of influence, it's like pretty big. And I know this is really important to you. So I just wanted to reach out to you and see if there were thoughts on how you might think that we could collaborate." And I think I'm going to get a lot of juice. There are a couple of YouTube channels that talk about this. Like that's their whole thing. I think, was it Rob Miles? I think it was Rob Miles. Might be Rob Miles. Yeah, Robert Miles AI Safety, this guy. He's really big on it. And like he's making actual substantial efforts towards like raising public awareness for this stuff and also doing some other shit. And so it'd be something, I'd be looking for people at research labs as well as people like Robert Miles, just so I could like sit down with, chat, and like, yeah, man, just talk about the stuff that I've honestly just thought a lot about over the course of my life. Who I've never really done anything about because I've just been so focused on like making money in the short term. I'm obviously not going to let any of this derail everything else that I do. I'm doing my daily actions every day, but yeah, it's sort of just like an interesting passion project. I'm going to be spending an hour or so a day on for the next couple of months. That's pretty sweet. So I'm going to put together a cold email campaign, just email a bunch of people. It's going to be sick. And I want you to know that touching on a wider point, you could literally cold email whoever the hell you want. I set up a Google Calendar appointment the other day. Completely like I didn't mean to do this. I was just using an example email and I typed peter@x.com. And I just, did this by mistake. And I didn't realize x.com is it's like Twitter now, right? So anyway, that actually sent a Google Calendar invite over to this guy, Peter at x.com. And he ended up declining the event. But I was like, oh, wait a second. I could literally cold email or set up Google Calendar meetings with anybody on planet Earth. And like, I'm making enough money now that I could probably make it worth their while. If somebody's interested in some foundation or something like that, I could be like, hey, I'm like, this is blah, blah, blah. If you get back to me, if we have a chat, I'll happily like donate $1,000 to whatever, or I'll do something for you or whatnot. I just really want to get in touch with you. Like, how cool would that be as a mechanism to like gain a really big network? Because I'm very confident that the second I get in a room with somebody, like on a video call or even a phone call, like I'm like fun enough that people are just gonna be like, all right, that Nick guy, he's pretty cool. Maybe I'll keep him in my Rolodex, right? Just imagine if I just like meet like a person a day for the next like 2 months. If they're all just in like the cutting edge of their field, man, well, I've assembled a dope ass network. And there's just so much magic and serendipity, right? So much magic and serendipity. That's why I call it the serendipity marketing campaign. Okay, anyway, I know I'm getting off the cuff here and this has nothing to do with AI automation agencies, so I will call it. I really appreciate everybody that has watched this video up until the very end. If you guys have any questions that I haven't already answered, just drop them down in one of the daily updates videos and I'll more than happily get to it. Thank you very much for the time. Looking forward to tomorrow.